Hi, Scott Lackman from 4510 TV. Today we're interviewing Karen George, Property Management Director of Richardson&Wrench Real Estate Caboolture. Through 4510 TV over the last 6 months or so, we've featured a lot of properties that are in the sale market, as well as some updates with sales activity and market activity. Today we want to focus on what's happening in the rental market for investors out there, for tenants or landlords. Let's hear from Karen what's happening in the rental market. Hi Karen.
Hi, how are you?
Very good. Karen's a little bit nervous, so we'll work through this interview. Let's start off with what's happening in the rental market in Caboolture region at the moment.
So at the moment the market is really busy. We're probably getting 7 or 8 applications per property available. Then we have to sift through, and our job is then to find the right person for that right property. But in general, maybe between 1 and 2 weeks of the property being vacant, from the tenant, one tenant leaving to another tenant moving in, that should be maximum turnaround time.
Excellent. People talk about vacancy rates and it's a percentage, but I think you like to be a bit more realistic, and as you say, it's about a 2-week turnaround between old tenant and new tenant.
When you're talking vacancy rate, you're talking about the number of properties we managed compared to the number available at the time. So it's a statistic. I don't think that's realistic. I think it's better to say to people, honestly, if your tenant moves out this Friday, you should have a tenant in the following Friday or the following.
Excellent. With the rental market, rental prices, we've seen maybe about 3 years ago there was quite a spike in rental prices, but that's plateaued now and still fairly hasn't changed?
It hasn't changed. So probably 3 years ago there was $10, $15 a week jumps to catch up to how busy the market was. Now realistically it's a $5 or $10 increase over a 12-month period. If you've got a good tenant, some owners are saying, just let them stay. I don't want to change the rent for the sake of $5. I want to just offer a good tenant looking after my property.
Yeah, because it becomes a false economy where someone's looking for maybe an extra $10 on the rent. The tenant moves out, it's vacant for 2 weeks, they've lost that gain that they were looking for.
Exactly. So it needs to be a long-term approach. Are you a short-term investor that wants money quick and you want a huge return, but it might take you a while to get that money? Or do you want a nice steady rent, maybe $280 instead of $295? $15 is a big difference in our market.
So a nice steady rent keeps a longer term tenant?
And we've got a lot of properties that are maybe more than 15 years old. They've been in Caboolture for a long time, and they're properties that you are 3-bedroom single garage, and then you've got a whole different market where the investors have come in from interstate and have built the 4-bedroom double garage. $340 a week rent is standard for our area, and that's where people that maybe can't afford to buy a property but would like a nice quality big family home, that's where they stay.
Yeah. And, without talking too much sales, we know interest rates are low, we know the market conditions are good for buying, but as you said, there's still a large percentage of families that just will not get into the sale market. They rely on renting properties, so that sort of summarises that we need to keep those rents affordable for these families.
Yeah, and some of those families just may be unsure of future plans with kids, future plans with work. However, look after and maintain and treat a property like their own home, but just aren't sure of what their long-term plan is, don't want to be stuck in somewhere for 5 years.
Yeah, so they're taking that 12-month option and looking at their options each year, I guess.
Yeah. And living for quality of lifestyle, so they may wish to change later if their kids change school or they change job. They don't want to be driving, so they want to be closer to work and have the lifestyle rather than travel.
Lovely. Let's skip to, I've got an investment property. Why would I get a real estate agent to manage it for me?
So the job of a property manager is to do 3 things. Educate. So we are qualified to inform the owner and the tenant of what their rights and duties are. Communicate between all parties. Let the owner know what their rights are. Explain to them and be their eyes and ears if they're interstate owners. And then to educate, communicate and negotiate. So sometimes both parties don't agree. So our job is to be that third person. It's not our house, it's not the tenants, it's the owners. So let's negotiate between all parties and find a happy medium where everyone can get on and benefit everybody.
And when you say negotiate, you're not talking about rental prices, you're talking about maybe maintenance or other issues that arise at the property?
So if a tenant says, I love this house but it really needs ceiling fans, and the owner's never thought of it or aren't financially in a position, we might be able to negotiate to say, well, our tradesman may do it, but may need to pay it off over the next couple of months. So the owner gets a benefit, the tenant gets a benefit, and we've negotiated between all parties.
You mentioned there your responsibility as an agent, educate, communicate, negotiate. Three key points to managing a property. Obviously, it takes a professional person to do that. Let's talk about your experience in the industry for you to be in that position to educate.
Okay, well, as a local family, I went to Morayfield High School, finished high school there and went straight into a real estate office up on King Street opposite Old Kmart. We've now been in these premises as a family business for almost 20 years, and I've always been passionate about property management. I'm not interested in sales, and you have to be an expert to do that. But I'm maybe a little bit softer where I like to look at all areas of it. I know what you should do, so let's work between all parties of what's right.
Yeah, you're not a salesperson, but I believe you are, because you are a salesperson when you go out to gain new business, new managements.
New business comes to our office due to our reputation mainly. People out in the community see what we're doing with our business. People see the experiences we have. The other thing they know is the awards that we've been winning. So for 2011, 2012, our office, little Caboolture, won a national Richardson&Wrench Property Management Team of the Year. So throughout all the offices in New South Wales and Queensland. And that's independently judged by experts in our property management field to show that we're doing things right with inspections, with the rental prices, with our communication to owners, with our resources within the office to communicate with people, our systems, our procedures, everything like that has to all come together. So my job in this office is to direct a whole team, a fantastic team of qualified senior ladies that do that role, and everyone does a different role to make the team move forward.
Yeah, let's touch on that quickly. Everyone does a different role. I believe in property management, some officers work on either a portfolio base or a task base. Can you explain the difference between the two and why you've chosen to lead the company down task-based?
So about 9 years ago, you can make a decision on either way when you're running a property management department. Portfolio means that one property manager is responsible for, let's say, 120 properties. They look after everything, the people going in maintenance, the people going out, the whole thing. What I'm concerned about is in that kind of business, if that person was sick or left, someone else learning that role has to maintain that 120 properties and get to know them very quickly. I think it's risky. So our decision was, let's bring in experts in certain fields of property management and get them to specialise in that field. So we have one lady who specifically does maintenance. She knows tradespeople. She knows how to speak to tenants and find out what the issue is, the pricing of it, and work with that. We have one lady who's great at selling properties. So she goes out and she looks for new tenants. She works around finding the needs of the owner and what the property has inside. 3 bedrooms, not very good fencing, so really don't want kids and pets. And she'll go and find the right kind of application to then process for that owner and marry them up. Another one of our ladies might do arrears. So she's tough and she's figures based, and she'll do our reports every day and then communicate with the tenants. Hey tenant, is there a problem? Communicate that back with the owner, specialises in that. Yeah,
so task base and our portfolio, you're looking at just over 600 properties that you're currently directing. With the task base, obviously we can get through that workload a lot better with individuals specialising rather than one person trying to eat the elephant, as we say.
Yeah, and by doing that, if someone is away for one day, you're only missing that small role, so the maintenance things coming in for that day, someone can cover. They're not covering 120 properties for the day. They're only covering a role.
Yeah, quite, we could sit here all day. There's a lot involved in managing a rental property. Karen from Richardson&Wrench Caboolture, Property Management Director, almost 20 years experience. You wouldn't tell it by her age. But let's go to something fun. It's 4510 TV. What do you do to relieve some stress, Karen?
Everyone who knows me around town knows me that I'm netball crazy. Netball, I give back to the community by coaching. I love coaching younger girls and trying to pass on my information. But I kind of don't feel too old that I can still play. So this weekend we've been to a carnival down the Gold Coast where we played 11 games of netball on the weekend. Wow. Most of the ladies in the team are over that 4-0 number, if I can say that. But you've got to keep fit. You've got to be involved with other things outside work. So when work's finished, you shut off and you have family time.
Healthy body, healthy mind, healthy property management department.
It is, and it definitely is a team effort, and everyone contributes their part.
If you'd like more information regarding renting your property out, if you're an owner or an investor, get in contact with Karen George at Richardson&Wrench Real Estate. The details following this video. I think we'll catch up again for another rental market update. Let's see, probably one last question. When is it busiest and when's the best opportunity for tenants looking for properties?
So if you're a tenant, most tenants move after Christmas. No one likes moving before Christmas. So in January, you have an idea of where you want the kids to go to school. You have an idea of jobs for the next year. And there's a lot available. So owners that are going to leave then. So properties are vacant. And tenants are interested that I've saved my money. This is where I'm planning and I'm focused. Our area still does a lot of 6-month leases. So then that shows that maybe then July is our next busy time of the year. Also Easter. Long weekends, lots of people like to move over a long weekend and prepare to do then. Not many people like to move into before Christmas, so it's coming into a slower part of the year now, where we'll focus on making sure everything's ready in the office for new tenancies coming into January.
All right, lovely. So thanks again for tuning into 4510 TV, your Caboolture community information featuring Karen George regarding property rentals.